I am live, but how do I do? How do I? There has to be something. I know you guys could probably hear me. Um, I am the host, so oh my god, how do I do this? Oh my god. Okay, let me just. It's capturing stuff, but okay. So I could have just. Okay. I don't think it's live on YouTube. Um, it is live on YouTube. Um, no, it's not made for kids. Uh, um, okay. Um, Let me go into the control room. Um, I want to know if everyone can hear me. I guess everyone can hear me. This is, mad cool that I get to do this. So, we want to do. We are live. I am live. Um, what's a donation banner? There's no. Oh, the banner's over here. Oh, okay. So I could do the campaigns, right? Um, okay. So how do I? Okay. I'm trying to wanting to read some of the ads, but like, do I have to do I have to like design a banner for it, or that's just something different? Is this banner something different? Um, hey, official Joe, what's up? Thank you for joining the stream. I am testing stuff out between YouTube and Rumble. That is why I am live right now because the time to go live was at 6 p.m. But I'm just testing stuff out just to make sure everything is good because I wanted to do something a little bit different. Um, yeah, how do I read the campaigns? Like, do I get? Oh, I get the live chat from both. That that is pretty cool. I guess I don't have to use Restream anymore. Um, can I get? Why does that? Why does my mic does not want to stay on? So wait a minute. If I switch between, okay, so that works. Um, so like I said, I'm gonna say one more time that um I have not been booked for commentary since 2024. Um, it's just that I would see all the messages pop up here. Donation banners. Um, we could do a live chat. Um, and I really want to do the campaigns. Like, I don't understand why I cannot do the campaigns. I need someone to explain this to me. Why I cannot do the campaigns. I would like this to be a little bit more like condensed. That's what I would like. I would like this to be a little more condensed. Um, I guess everything is running fine. This is pretty interesting to say the least. So audio controls. It's from my Why is my camera picking up audio stuff? Why? My camera doesn't have a microphone. Okay. I don't know what this is. What is this? Is it gonna tell me what this is? No, it's not gonna tell me what this is. Um, Hmm. We're gonna eventually do duos because yeah. So if my camera goes off, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Um, on the campaign while streaming. So am I not available for these things? Like, oh, so wait, I have to have a minimum of 10 people in here in order to read the ads. So it can't just be like, oh, oh, but I don't even get like 10 people sometimes for the for Rumble. I am still brand new to Rumble. I am still learning about Rumble, and I think that it's a it's a very good platform. It really is. It allows you to speak your mind and stuff like that. But it's just one of those things of like I don't know what I'm doing, and I would like the veterans of Rumble to help me out. I really would. So now I understand that I would have to have 10 people viewing the Rumble stream just so that way I can read one of the ads and get the offering. Um, yeah, I went live a little too early just because I wanted to make sure that this thing was working right, and it is working right. I know that if I were to back out of it, that it basically will shut off my um, camera and mute my microphone. And then I could share windows and entire screens. Okay. Um, I could manage people who uh, are here. I have no idea what ingresses are. If someone could tell me what an ingress is, that'd be great. Um, Let me just don't switch. Okay. I hope that YouTube sends out the notification. I went live early. I went live early just to test this out. Um, I should have my headphones prepared. Um, I should have my headphones prepared. Hi, Denisha. Thank you for joining me. And Denisha, you don't know how much I love you. Okay. Thank you again for becoming a member over at youtube.com// Square Circle Podcast. I just have to do that for like marketing sake, just to say the whole thing. But thank you for becoming a 6.99 partner, um, membership person, partner, buddy. Like, thank you so much. Like, most of the time, and I'm going to be very, very honest, most of the time when I'm trying to think of ways to better the community that I'm trying to build for talking about professional wrestling and talking about the other hobbies that I like, which is music and like, spotlighting really good people on, on Instagram that I'm getting to know and stuff like that. Sometimes it's a little difficult for me to be like, hey, what can I give to my community that, they will support me financially and stuff like that, and I appreciate it. Sometimes I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Most of the time it's like I really don't know what I'm doing. But I try to make it work, and I'm babbling, and there goes Dose. um I have no idea if he heard all of that speech while I'm still trying to figure out some stuff.
I did hear most of the speech, not all of it. So I wasn't sure if you were talking to me or we started the show, or you were talking like if you were talking to a live community or not. So I didn't want them to hear what was ever going on in my background.
Oh, no, I was just praising Denisha, who's my mod, and I think she's also a mod for for Pro Wrestle Times. And she
Okay.
recently became a subscriber to the Square Circle podcast for like 6.99 a month. So sometimes when people end up like doing that out of like the goodness of their heart for like the content that I create, it's sort of like, oh my God, thank you so much. I want to let you know how much I love you for doing that, because I just don't like, content creation, asking people for money here and there. It's one of those things of like I have to get used to and be like, thank you, So you came in during that speech.
That's fine. So good. I mean, first of all, I think it's great that you're thanking the people that help you, especially those who, sort of take a job, as opposed to, not to belittle just money because that's a big thing too, but they're also giving you free labor, and sometimes at some price to themselves with, within the social group. But the important thing is that you weren't talking directly to me, so I didn't miss anything about that, and so I wasn't sure if we had started the recording or not. So listen, I'm happy to put my microphone off and let you finish talking to your folks, and then just give me the signal. I'll turn my mic on, and we'll go. I don't want to short circuit you.
No, it's fine. I mean, we could start early. I was just waiting for you to be here at 6, because if you had stuff to do or whatever, I would have been like, all right, 6 is cool. So I only went like live like super early to test this out, since I'm testing out Rumble, and Rumble has, obviously you came in pretty like smoothly and whatnot.
Yeah.
We would use like Restream, but like Restream is giving me it's just being a pain in the ass. So I was like, oh, Rumble has like a room like Restream, so let's try it out. But yeah, I've been trying out Rumble.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems fine. It wasn't any more difficult to get into than anything else. A couple of clicks here or there, and yeah. So listen, if I can figure it out, I'm sure 98% of your other folks will be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and the one thing that I like about Rumble, that there is no lag. Usually when you stream, there's like a 5 to maybe 10 second lag, and I'm like, oh my God, that lag is annoying. When
Mm,
you're on YouTube and like Twitch, I don't understand why there's a lag, but there's absolutely like no lag on Rumble. So if someone says something in the chat, I could automatically respond to them in real time, rather than being like, oh wait, it's a 5 second delay. Like, what is that?
that's great. No, that's an improvement. That's better for everybody.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start. Cause side note, I haven't been on Twitter for like a week and some days,
You
which the
told me that you were
detox.
going to take some time off.
Yeah, the detox is real. I'm like, I don't really. I don't really know if I want to go back on or peek back in.
You're not missing anything, to be honest. I mean, if you weren't getting anything from it before, you're not. It's not like you missed something where you would get it. I mean, I've gotten worse or better about blocking like people for like just like even like simple affronts. Like if I don't recognize them before and like they're bothering me like in the beginning, even for something relatively minor, like I'm soft now. It's just like I if I'm not enjoying this first interaction, one I don't remember, you're blocked,
Hmm.
done. Um, and I the only thing I don't do, which is really really stupid, is I have these like legacy trolls who have been like
Oh,
trolling me ever since I was on like Tooneytown Wrestling, and because they don't watch it, they don't realize that I was on like three times total and haven't been on in like a year and a half. Um,
uh-huh.
so they like still like instead of just blocking them, I I let them linger out there for what purpose I know not, but I feel like at some point it'll be useful to me. I don't know, or like I'll be able to like shove a cyber pie in their face. Uh, so, but
um,
yeah,
So before we actually begin, because while you were telling us that wonderful story, by the way, I'm falling more and more in love with Rumble just because I can like go to the live chat and talk to both Rumble people and YouTube people. And Denisha gave me my first ever super chat,
oh great,
um, saying, "Marie, love you too. See, just for I got you always. You're smarter and stronger than you are, sis." And that was for 9.99 if anybody wants to know. But that's my first ever super chat. Denisha, thank you so much for that. And Dennis Keen is also in our chat too. He's glad that he could catch up with us talking wrestling. Um,
Dennis
that
and
is
Denisha.
that is fantastic. I really do enjoy the community that I'm building, even though like Twitter is like a hell spawn or escape. I don't think that works.
Both work. I mean,
Okay.
Hellscape is geography. Hellspawn is usually a creature, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why my brain went to those two words. It was just like, cool, cool, cool.
it's okay.
Um, how has your day been before we jump right into MLW?
Pretty good. I have been strangely busy the last few days. I mean, not strangely busy for a regular person, but strangely busy for me. And so I have to get back used to. And I have a full time job and get paid a full time wage, and working full time shouldn't be considered extraordinary. But summer I guess is over. So yesterday I actually had to go to federal court in Greenbelt. Now I was the opposite of that famous quote where the attorney said, "I am not a potted plant." In this case,
Hmm.
I really was a potted plant. I and the plaintiffs and the defendants, we were the defendants, both had local counsel because they're both counsel from someplace else who had to be there, or their counsel who weren't in the federal court, so they needed a sponsor. Mine was, but he wasn't licensed in Maryland federal, admitted to Maryland federal court, so yeah, sponsor. The client flew in all the way from Mumbai
Oh.
for what was preliminary motions, but substantial. And then there was going to be a hearing if we got to it on a preliminary injunction. Giant family feud involving ice cream and trademark licenses, and whether there was infringement or not. And the only reason I'm telling you all this, other than you asked, and to the wrestling audience, is that the case was successfully dismissed, at least temporarily. There's a stay, but it's essentially it'll become permanent after 90 days unless certain things aren't done. But it was, and the dismissal of the case in the Southern District of Maryland federal court, where Maryland had interest both on trademark law and consumer issues, was because in the 1993 contracts signed in another country involving some signees who were 6 years old at the time and are now adults, there was an arbitration provision that said all matters relating to this, and arising out of these contracts shall go to binding arbitration. So once again, arbitration is undefeated. So for those of you who think it's only about wrestling, has nothing to do with only about wrestling, and it's not even only about the United States. This was let's just say a very big country in the world.
Hmm, that is interesting. And then I know people like to come after you on the internet and try to, be a lawyer and try to tell you what's what if you're still in those arguments online on wrestling.
Yeah, it's something is crazy. I don't pretend to know everything, but like some guy, people making like strange legal like arguments about like I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't really distinguish between whether it's a release and a non-renewal. I mean, I know the difference, but to me, it's whether or not the talent wants it to happen is what should trigger your outrage or not, because in either case, the company has the right to do it.
Hmm.
Um, Ricochet was non-renewed. He didn't want to be renewed. Same with Samantha Irvin. So you shouldn't be outraged about it. Shotzi was Cross was just non-renewed in Scarlet. He
Yeah,
apparently did want to stay. So you should be outraged about that. But if your position is always like the company has a right to do it, well, the company has a right to release and non-renew, and at least in the case of WWE releases, which are of course more frequent than AEW and probably other companies, at least they pay you for 90 days or 30 days if you're NXT. And
yeah.
so at 90 days it's full roster pay, so that ain't bad. Anyway, um,
I
but no,
wanted to say that that basically I'm a testament to that too of getting let go by WWE.
no.
I just didn't get paid though after I got released, but I got released anyway, so I'm a testament to that.
Right. Well, you were an employee, so it's a whole different thing. I mean, yeah. I mean I mean, people say they wouldn't want to be in wouldn't have want to have a contract. I mean, yes, they would. I mean, unless they're in some sort of lock, stock, barrel kind of union situation. And frankly, most people I know in unions aren't real happy with their unions, whether they're right or wrong. So, um, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, you would mostly prefer to have a contract rather than not have a contract.
Pretty much. And with that being said, 'cause you did mention Shotzi, today, ladies and gentlemen, it is me, Marie Shadows, along with Dose Evil, and we're going to be going over MLW Blood and Thunder that appeared on August 9th, like at 10 p.m. In New York City at the Melrose Ballroom. We start with an opener of Jesus Rodriguez introducing Cesar Durant who and Selena De La Renta. Um, to basically kick off the show. They want the audience to show MLW some love. We always show MLW some love. Like, again, that's like the best place to work at. And also show up as a fan. They talk about the Opera Cup, and then they give us the announcement that the middleweight championship title will be decided at Fightland, which is going to be in Dallas, Texas, September 13th. Tickets are still available. Dose, if you have any other, I don't know, notes or thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I just always enjoy Caesar and Selena, even when they're baby faces, they're still not exactly baby faces, and they always have that family feud dynamic. So he's like my very expensive daughter, and she's like, "Poppy, I make the company money," and he's like yes, and of course they're selling the Don Gato and the tequila. I have yet to try Don Gato, but the next time I buy tequila in a liquor store, it will be Don Gato, and it will be because of MLW and because of Cesar Duran, and of course Celine de Laurenta, and to a lesser extent Jose.
You mean Jesus?
Jesus, I'm sorry, Rodrigo. Yes, yeah.
I was like, who is Jose? If
Here's
you
the
don't want
sad
to,
thing. I've met him in person, and like I
yeah.
still never get his name right.
Oh, I mean,
And
you could
he's
just say
so
Jesus.
nice.
He is, he is. But you could just call him Jesus if you don't remember how to say it in Spanish. It's not that big of a deal.
I'd rather call him Jesus than Jesus. It's just a thing.
Okay. I'm just making sure because you called him Jose, so I was like, oh, you can say
I
Jesus if
just
you
got the
don't.
name wrong.
Oh, oh, okay.
I just got his name
um,
wrong. It's like a Bruce Dijak later on in the show.
Oh my god.
Michael
So
Riddle.
imagine. um, so our first opener match is a scramble match that had Matthew Justice versus Akamura versus Mr. Thomas versus Ariel Dominguez. C.W. Anderson was in there, and also Mads Kruger. And of course, this was chaos all over the place. Ariel Dominguez with his big heart, even though he was in truly the phrase of was he in the land of the giants, right? That'll be the right
Mhm.
phrase. But he tried. However, when Ariel was being held up, Matthew Justice thought it was a good idea to spear both Mads Kruger, and I believe it should have been like Mr. Thomas that like held him up as well. But then like he fell on his head pretty bad, but he managed to recover. We got some super kicks from Akamura to CW. Mr. Thomas is flying all over the place, man. Your buddy, our buddy, is flying all over the place, and I am like, bro, he has like no fear to do this stuff. We got an exploder, some shoulder tackles, we get some stereo power bombs, but truly in the end, we get Mads Kruger doing like a front face plant to CW to get the victory and win. And I guess that pushes further the fact that he still has that MLW esque money in the briefcase kind of deal.
Yeah. I get they want to make Mads Kruger the monster. I thought it was funny with Ariel Dominguez was sort of between Mads Kruger and Mr. Thomas, and like they said, he thinks he's 7 feet. And by the way, Mr. Thomas is getting that Hulk Hogan growth. They introduced him at 6'7", 267 pounds. So
Oh,
he's gained 2 inches and 17 pounds. So I texted him that today, and he said, "LOL." He's getting that Hogan push. Um, this match was a lot of fun. I would have liked to have seen someone else win, and sort of maybe we've all been trained by WWE and also TNA and Impact who have the money, the money case kind of thing. That you don't need to protect the person with the case, but they want Mads to be their monster. And this was reiterated through the night in different ways. So C.W. Anderson took the thing. Matthew Justice is really leaning into he's the madman that enjoys pain kind of thing. So that
mm-hmm.
is his character now. And but yeah, this match was fun. Thomas was all over the place. My best friend, Mr. Thomas. I am not his best friend. He's just my best friend. Um, and yeah, so a lot of fun, very satisfying match. Mads Kruger was an easy choice to win. That as long as it wasn't C.W. Anderson or or Dominguez, that would have really upset me.
That is true. By the way, how is Mr. Thomas? Because I don't know if he came back to do the show with you. The
No,
co
he's
he's
on
still on.
vacation all of August.
Okay.
So I don't think he's actually gone anywhere yet. So he was going to go to Colombia. The last I heard, he was going to go to Spain. I think he's sitting exactly where he is, but he said he's on vacation in August, and I'm not bothering him on August. But Vinny Pacifico sat in, and we did a GOT. Mish hasn't produced it yet, so I haven't published it
Uh-huh.
yet. And actually, your friend and mine, Kiro Kwan, who we'll talk about
Oh,
later, he's also agreed to guest host, and he actually wants to guest host a few times, but he's having trouble getting people to not agree per se, but to agree and find dates and times that work for him and me and the guest. But we'll get it together, and I'm sure we'll do 1 to 3 shows together. And I had got prior yeses from Big Trouble Ben Bishop and Shaza McKenzie to also cut. So I actually may end up with more August shows than I would normally just do with Thomas. But still, we miss Thomas and want Thomas back.
yeah. It's cool to have him around and hear his thoughts and whatnot. He gave me some good advice at MLW, so I was like, all right, I'm keeping that like right over here. But see,
Nice.
even like me giving you the rub to for Quan to be like, hey, I want to do some
Yeah,
shows.
you totally hooked that up. That wasn't a Thomas's friend from work thing. That was a my friend from cyberspace, Marie Shadows hooking up with, and hopefully now they're better friends from work. the funny thing about Thomas is I'll always say, "Hey, that is a friend of yours from work," and he will say, "Well, that is not a friend of mine from work, but that's someone who maybe we will be friends." And then other times, like the star of this particular match, who was Austin Aries, when I say, "Hey, that's a friend of yours from work," he's like, "No, that's somebody I work with." But Austin Aries during this match, they said that Ariel Dominguez apparently like won something in his weight class in wherever, whatever town, city, or country he's from, and Austin Aries was what, 50 pounds, which is fine because Austin Aries is not exactly the biggest guy, also, and he made some other comment about Ariel Dominguez being either very small or being like a child or something, but I wish I could remember. But the 50-pound comment was funny, especially coming from a guy who's you know not all that much bigger than Ariel Dominguez.
Pretty much. I think maybe height. Austin Aries. No, not even by that much.
Yeah, probably like
Because I
3 inches.
Yeah, because I come up to like his shoulder the last time that I talked to Austin Aries. Oh wait, people might cancel me, but I don't care.
Why? Maybe as you're saying a fact about your height to his height.
No, just because I keep mentioning Austin Aries,
Oh,
somebody out there is going to be like, ah, let's grab the pitchforks.
well, he he
Um,
he was there. He was on commentary with Joe Dombrowski and a rotating cat. I mean, they had Filthy Tom Lawler was there. Paul Walter Hauser, star of Fantastic Four and The Naked
mhm.
Gun, was there. So I mean, there was but he was there all night. He's the commentator. To mention him, and listen, he's funny. I understand he is not liked. I know he sort of walked out in WWE and people didn't mind that because they hate WWE, or they do, and then he did that thing with the Impact title where he sort of worked out. I know he's troublesome, and I agree. He's likely someone that there's a pretty good chance that if you met him and hung out with him, you wouldn't like him, and he wouldn't like you. But he was on the show.
Yeah. So after the opening match, we get a vignette of backstage of Selena comes in to give Caesar a gift. It was wrapped up. Apparently, there was no return address, so they open it, and inside the box was keys and a letter. And Caesar, very very happy, was like, "Pack your bags. We're gonna go on a trip." Which, by the way, he should have called up Mr. Thomas to be like, "Yo, we'll come. You want to come on a trip?" For vacation. But yeah, they go, they pack up. Selena's like grabbing the freaking tequila, which I thought was funny.
And a
Um,
dagger.
yeah. And they're gonna go on this trip, and I was just so curious. I'm like, where are they gonna go?
First of all, this whole thing was a little bit weird because she goes, "It has no return address, and I don't know what's in it, but I think you're going to be intrigued." I mean, how does she know that if she didn't open it yet? So, but anyway, inside were keys, like, and they look like old fashioned dungeon keys, like something like you're going to get into an open chamber. Now, of course, because
Yeah,
he has Tekka Underground, Lucha Underground parallels, I, of course, am hoping that they're going to find and free. There were two keys. I don't know if they're to the same chamber, but they're going to find and free a new Matanza, like
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah,
new brother massacre, or two. Uh, I don't know if it's that, but they said we're going to go to see Dangato, and it's going to be a very dangerous trip. And so Selena, she packs like a stiletto knife. She makes sure she sheaths
yeah,
it and puts it in, and then grabs the tequila, of course. And he's like, "Well, what are you doing?" She's like, "I'm just getting the tickets, literally." And she didn't have a ticket, and they dropped the letter, and I couldn't read it. It was in script, and it left the screen. Hopefully, the letter didn't contain any clues, but whatever it is, they're going to open some door or something that is something very old, and hopefully, will be all sorts of lucha excitement.
Whenever MLW does that and set that up, like I get super excited to be like, what kind of story can we go along with these characters? Because I do think that it was very comical to have those keys that look like you're gonna open up an underground chamber. Like I really need them to start getting into the element with their budget of like doing really deep storytelling like that. Like B plus movie. And now that you have Paul Walter Hauser, like it's probably easier to go down that route.
Yeah, and you have sort of these monsters that are out there. I mean, if there was a budget, there's some obvious ones, but even if with a
Hmm.
low budget, you could find, you know, Sam Stackhouse or Beef or So some of these Beast Man, some of these like sort of giants who their gimmick is basically I'm a giant caveman, um,
Hmm.
kind of things. Um, I don't know what they're planning to do. I of course have my heart set of Montanza. It could just be that inside there's like a new gift of the gods belt or something like that, or who knows. But hopefully we'll find out at Fightland in September in Dallas on YouTube.
Yep. Right after that, we get a Matthew Justice promo. Him going after Hammerstone and mentioning how like Hammerstone left to go, elsewhere, and then now he came back, and it's sort of like, you no longer have a spot here per se because Matthew Justice has been carrying MLW, which he has. Hammerstone has carried MLW in the past as well. I was a little disappointed in the delivery of the promo because I know Matthew Justice could do a little bit better, but we got what we got. Your thoughts on his promo?
I mean, I agree. I mean, his acting is not that great. It was sort of run by number. He sort of parroted the John Cena line: "If you want some, get some." Like it
Yeah.
seemed a little lazy. He had that little scabby on his nose, so he really maybe wasn't feeling so well. Um, I'm having trouble a little bit with this character uh, for him. He just doesn't seem. I thought they wanted to set him up as like sort of their top face, sort of like
Mm-hmm.
almost like their good version of Seth Rollins. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's clear that's not where they're going. I guess they're going more with the Madman Dean Ambrose kind of approach. So we'll see. This was inoffensive. I guess it's more like I'm not particularly interested in this for Hammerstone. So I'm really not clear if he's under a contract or if he's just doing appearances. I know he's doing NWA 77, so I'm guessing he's under appearances. So that's why you're in this sort of mid card thing. But yeah, I sort of thought Hammerstone would be sort of right into the top tier. And I mean, that's what Matthew Justice was saying. Hammerstone, you think you're going to be right in the top tier? No, I'm here to. So in kayfabe, it makes perfect sense. From me booking standpoint, it doesn't. And yes, Hammerstone's been heely, but they haven't quite cemented him as a heel. I mean, he attacked Guerrero from behind,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
but after that, it's like they almost walked it back. It's like they didn't want to commit to him being a bad guy. I don't know if he sells too many T-shirts. I don't know if he's like, look, man, don't ruin my character. I'm on the Indies. I'll never come back if I can't get bookings as a face. I don't know what it is. I have no idea, brother. But I guess it's better than nothing. But it doesn't excite me very much.
Yeah, I'll just follow it along and see what happens. But I'm with you there that I wish that Matthew Justice was more the Seth Rollins kind of route, kind of deal, because that's what it felt like when he was with was it the Second City crew with one called
Yeah.
Manders, and that felt really good back then. But things change, plans change.
Yeah.
Um, our next match was only a 10-minute match that had Neon, which because it has a damn accent over it, but it is Neon. But Neon versus Paul London. Seriously, when the commentator said the name, I was like, what the fuck? It sounded kind of weird to my ears, and I was like, oh my god. But yeah, because of the accent mark over the O, you just gotta like really pronounce it. Neon. Um, we start with a collar and elbow tie up. We get some insecurities. There's just some back and forth. For some reason, when they showed the highlights when Paul London was facing this wrestler over in CMML, no, yeah, CMLL. It looked a lot better, a lot quicker. This one was like really slowed down for the match overall. Paul London got like the clutch submission in. We got some more kicks, some more power moves. But at the end, Neon does an inverted senton onto Paul London. But this ends in a draw. So we don't get no pin, no submission. Ends in a 10-minute time limit draw. Um, Paul Walter Hauser on commentary um, I don't know. I don't mind. I do not mind him in MLW now. I really don't. Him
Yeah.
on commentary was golden because he was hitting everything that a commentator like for him being a wrestler, should do. Looking out for Paul London, throwing this in there, throwing that in there. he gets it. So I don't really have anything bad to say about Paul Walter Hauser. Again, I do feel kind of bad that I just gave him a head nod when I saw him, even though he said hi to me and I didn't shake his hand. But that's that. We do get a post attack from Paul London onto Neon because Paul London is frustrated. Do you think that Paul London can ever like get over himself so that way he can become the Paul London of old in some way, shape, or form?
It's always up to the booker, right? No, I don't think so. I mean, one, his pride in his outfits, or overconfidence in his physique is disturbing. That Elvis suit, or looks. I mean, it's unwashed. It's bad to look at. The background to this story is that Paul London was the guy who was sticking up for Paul Walter Hauser while others were picking on, while Paul Walter Hauser was learning the trade and earning his stripes. And they were a tag team. And at a certain point, Paul Walter Hauser said, "Hey, you and I should go for these MLW tag team titles." And Paul London was sort of iffy about it. He's like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine, but I want to go for like big time titles." And Paul Walter Hauser doesn't quite understand why Paul London isn't his best friend anymore, or maybe he's clueless as to it. And all during the commentary, he's like supporting Paul London. They're
Hmm.
trading barbs with Austin Aries. Austin Aries, Paul Walter Hauser says, "Does your parole officer know you're here?" And Austin Aries goes, "Ever even had a student ticket? You could check it, brother." He's just one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think this was good natured barbs. I think that he was just being nasty, and Paul was trying to be nasty back, and whatever. So Paul goes to ringside and doesn't know. The other backstory is that apparently Paul London and Neon did not reach a conclusion in Mexico either. And this
Oh.
match is something they called a lightning match, which is a 10-minute limit. So Paul London was frustrated because he couldn't win in Mexico. He couldn't win here. Couldn't get the job done in 10 minutes. The crowd was chanting 5 more minutes, and there was such a delay that I thought that it was going to be granted, but no Cesar Duran, no
Mhm.
nothing. They stuck to the gimmick, and London attacked Neon. So I guess there'll be a bumper match to see if he can finally get it done. My guess is that Paul Walter Hauser will do something to be helpful, but will be unhelpful, and Paul London will go, totally, ape shit on his candy ass. Um, but like you, I don't really love celebrities in wrestling, but if they do the work and they put it in, and they seem like they're like Paul Walter Hauser doesn't need to be in MLW. He's had a fantastic year. He was in year zero with De Niro. He's in Fantastic Four. He's in The Naked Gun. I mean, he doesn't need this. He's might not be an A-list actor, but he's in A-list movies and productions. Um, and he's also doing stuff with AEW last, but he seems to be really committed to MLW, and I, I wouldn't be surprised if, because he is a little bit of a Hollywood cachet, that it was Paul Walter Hauser being allowed to do something with AEW that allowed MJF to show up in MLW,
Mhm.
because Tony sort of does think that way. But all of wrestling does. All of wrestling constantly wants to be validated by the outside world in some way, and they never
Mhm.
are, and they probably never will be, but they keep trying, like Sisyphus. Anyway, that was the match. It was fine, but I'm not really familiar with Neon. I wasn't familiar with the CMLL thing until today. So
Mhm.
it did continue what I already knew was, again, we knew what was going on with Paul Walter Hauser and Paul London, but this is fine. This was just the time filler, but of something needed to be cut from the show. This would have been fine. Then again, at 10 minutes, it really didn't take a whole lot of time. There was one good move where it was almost a bad move. Neon
Mhm.
slipped in a high risk maneuver. He slipped off the top rope, but he managed to have enough control over his body that he did a kick. He was probably going to do a missile drop kick, but
Yeah.
he managed to do a single kick, which looked like an actual offensive move that he preserved. So he turned the botch into a positive. So I'm going to give him a lot of credit for being able to have the body control to do that, and still not make it, and still keep it as a work brother. So hermano. So anyway,
Yeah. It is what it is. I do kind of want this story with Paul London and Paul Walter Hauser to sort of speed up just a tiny little bit, because most of the time it's like breadcrumbs of like, hey, we got that, promo last week where both of them were talking about it, and they were like, and Paul was like, well, Paul Walter Hauser was like, hey, we could be a tag team, blah blah blah, right? And then like this week we have the 10-minute match and then the post beatdown, and Paul Walter Hauser is like, what the fuck, man, like what the hell. But I do want this to speed up just a tiny bit.
yeah, it's a little bit weird because Akamura and Kushida just Kojima just split up, and now that we see them breaking bread together, of course they're eating bagels and the bread's just in
Yeah,
the background. I would too. I would go for the bagels instead of the bread slices. But apparently they're friendly again. So
yeah.
that was sort of a weird like one time, two times sort of split.
Yeah, it is. But if you could win Kojima back on bread, that's
Cheap day.
great.
I mean, white bread at that. I mean, that's what another thing Austin was saying that he goes, that is the cheapest bread. It's not GMO. It's not GMO. It's not organic. It's not fresh. That is wondrous bread. He knew not to say Wonder Bread, but he's like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fatty bread. That's so unhealthy
yeah.
because he's a vegan.
Oh, um, which the next time if I see Kojima, I'm gonna have to be like, thanks again for following me on Twitter because I'm still like, yay about that. Um,
You should be. It's great.
yeah. So right after that, we had our other match for the Opera Cup. This is like the first round. Anthony Green versus Bishop Dyer. Um, I get to, I mean, well, both you and I, we get to say that we watched Bishop Dyer, aka Baron Corbin, for anyone out there that doesn't know what's been happening. We got to watch him live.
Yep.
He is a tall dude, but if you're short, of course you're gonna like just say he's a tall dude because I had to be like, hi. um, One of these days, I will message him to be like, bro, can you teach me how to cook a steak? Because I don't know how to
Yeah.
cook a steak.
Do it.
Um, so that we could collaborate and we could make like a food collaboration video.
Sure.
I could teach him how to cook like a penne or something, and he could teach me how to cook steak.
You guys can be
But
best friends.
anyway, what happened?
You could be best friends.
Yeah, we could be. Because I don't know. I find it fascinating every time that one of his videos pop up and it's him cooking a steak. I'm like, why is that fucking fascinating? Um, Anyway, let me also show some love to Anthony Green because I will put this guy over a million times just the way that he works. The last time we talked about MLW, Anthony Green was facing Brock Anderson, and he did like a very uh, devious, devilish kind of deal by putting down Anderson's knee pad and like getting distraction, poking him in the eye. And I was like, this guy is brilliant. Also, for anyone out there that's listening, if you don't look at Anthony Green's like social media and stuff like that on Instagram, he does have videos up where he teaches students and he goes over a lot of things that a lot of new indie wrestlers just totally forget about. And I'm like, Anthony Green is a breath of fresh air. So I wanted to give him his flowers again. The thing that I want to point out in this match is that they started off with a headlock. The headlock was telling the story for this because obviously Bishop Dyer is tall. Anthony Green is tall, but not as tall as Bishop Dyer, so he has to hop a little bit to get the headlock in to control the match, control the pace, control the big guy, take him down to almost his center of gravity with a headlock takeover and stuff like that. So I was marking out because I was like, "Oh, this is great. This is what I love." They go and fight. They go and fight onto the outside for a little bit. We get that. I think it's a deep six first, but Anthony Green kicks out.
Yeah.
And towards the end, Bishop Dyer does obviously keep his finisher, which is the end of days. That beautiful finisher. And then goes and pins Anthony Green 1, 2, 3, and we're having Bishop Dyer, aka Baron Corbin, advance in the Opera Cup.
This is because I saw Bishop Dyer with you at
Mhm.
MLW. I also saw him last month at MCW. And it is so strange that in person, he looks so much better and bigger physically than he looks on TV. It's
Yeah.
weird. Like he doesn't present well on TV. Like his chest looks like it's not defined. His belly looks weirder than it is. His arms look less defined. Meanwhile, in person, like you would be out of your mind to look at him side eyed, unless you're just like a super duper fighter. And so, even then, you shouldn't be, because he's actually legitimately a super duper fighter. Like, he wins, like, jujitsu competitions, and he was like a Golden Gloves boxer and a bare knuckle fighter and things like that. So, like, and I don't know if he made it to the NFL or not, but he was a D1 offensive lineman, I think, at NC State. And I think he did at least get on the practice squad for an NFL team. I'm not, whatever it is, he's not someone that you'd want to fight. Anyway, he doesn't look that good on TV. It's just a weird thing. Like, even his face, he has a very strong chin. He's very angular. I mean, I know I sound like I'm like running a modeling agency or not, but he's got good chin bones. He's got good facial structure. It's like maybe the tattoos hurt, but that doesn't explain something. It's just weird. In person, he is much more physically impressive and frankly good looking than he is on TV. That said, this match was fine. It took a little bit too long. It was a little bit too 50-50 for my taste. I know Anthony Green is sort of a
Mhm.
new signee or re-signee to MLW, which means he's made a commitment probably for a year, maybe longer. Who knows? So they don't want to treat him like a job squad guy, and so they want to give him respect. I get it. Um, I just I don't know. It seems to me that the story these days is you got Mads, Dijak, Kruger. I'm sorry, I said it twice. Baba Thunder, Thomas.
Mhm.
Bishop Dyer. You got all these giants running around, and then Matt Riddle, and with all the releases, MLW is usually pretty good about bringing someone in at least once or twice. You got Hammerstone back. You got, we're getting Volador now, Mystico still. I mean, so you have sort of this, you have a pretty nice top tier. Um, so I mean, I guess it makes sense for them to try to build a mid card, low card that's respectable. I don't know. I probably would have booked it more 65-35 than 50-50. That said,
Mhm.
Bishop Dyer advances in the cup. Of course, they keep calling Saint Laurent MSL. Did he ever go by first name, or is that just Mister Saint Laurent?
I think it's just Mister.
I think so
Like
too.
I don't. Yeah, I just.
He even has it on his little sweatsuits.
Yeah,
MSL.
yeah. It's probably just Mister. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Okay.
You know how popular it is for people to have three letters to be like, hey, I'm three letters somebody.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't go by MSL. He just goes by Saint Laurent. Which, I mean, listen, Yves Saint Laurent is a famous brand, so I thought maybe at some point he went by Meves Saint Laurent or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's always been like Mister. Whenever he wants to feel fancy.
Whenever he
That's
damn
what I
well
can say.
pleases. It's like Sid Vicious, wherever he damn well pleases.
Yeah, pretty much. Right after that, we had a supposed MLW World Heavyweight Championship title match that was supposed to be Dijak versus Matt Riddle. Again, I was watching this as a fan just for taking notes, and I was expecting the match, but no, Matt Kruger had to drag Matt Riddle out, and then he had his own referee to be like, yeah, I'm gonna cash in, which is smart because you want to tell the referee right there and don't do the WWE thing of like, I'm gonna cash in, and the referee is like, are you sure? And they're
Right.
like, yeah, I want to cash in. Are
Yeah.
you sure?
I
Like,
hate that whole
uh,
thing. Drives me
that
crazy.
shit. It does. It does. But anyway, Matt Riddle is like completely incapacitated. Dijak is like, what the fuck, Mads? And they go and fight, and they fight. They fight on stage, to the point where Dijak puts Mads Kruger through a table. This guy is not human. I'm not sure if Dijak didn't get the memo, but I probably should have told him like, "Yo, he's not human. If you're gonna like have a spot with him, like he's not human." Gets back up, and then they continue to fight throughout the whole entire arena, and nobody asks, "Yo, Matt Riddle, are you good?"
Well,
They forgot about him.
yeah. Well, he's only the champion. It's not important. Okay. So if you are you or me and you follow MLW, this is fun and it makes total sense. If you were tuning in because you wanted to see a title match between Dijak and Riddle, you probably feel a little bit ripped off because you didn't get that. You are going to get it
Yeah.
probably at Fightland,
Hmm.
but for me, it was fine because, like you said, it made perfect sense. They have been having, this thing where even though Dijak's a heel and Kruger's a heel, they're from different sides. One's from Contra, one's from Team, MSL, and they both want the same title, and they are basically cock blocking each other, and Kruger is basically he's like the Undertaker now. It's like you can knock him down, but you can't keep him down. Even if you hurt him, he gets back up. Sort of that AJ Styles Undertaker meme from the Boneyard match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that's sort of Mads Kruger now, and that happened to Dijak a couple times tonight. Once right here, and then as you said, they fight throughout the night, and the funny thing is. They were fighting sometimes during the day and sometimes it was during the night, depending on where they were fighting. So not a whole lot of continuity there. Or maybe Mads, him being not human, it took Dijak to some place where time operated differently, and that was sort of the discombobulation. But at some point, they worked their way to the roof, which, by the way, looked like it had a nice little lounge area. Um,
Hmm.
and Dijak threw Mads Kruger off of the roof. We were at this building. This building was, yeah, I don't know, it's not a high rise, but it was probably a 30-foot, 40-foot tall building. So he threw him
Probably.
off, and Dijak's laughing and laughing, and looks down, and he doesn't see anything. He's like, "Where's Matt? Where's Kruger? Where's Kruger?" So Kruger either like had some sort of Moriarty thing from Sherlock, where his henchmen all carried him away quickly, um, or he just got up and pieced out, or was headed back into the building for more mayhem. But for me, that's fun segments. Again, if this was the first time I watched MLW, looking for Matt Riddle, he used to be in WWA. Dijak, he used to be in WWE. Title match,
Hmm.
I'll check out this indie. Why not? I might have been felt a little miffed, but folks, you'll get a payoff, and you're going to get it on YouTube, and you're going to get it for free, and you're going to get it in about 5 weeks' time, not even 4 weeks' time.
Which brings me to the MLW ad, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget that Fightland comes to Dallas, Texas, September 13th. Tickets are still available. If you're in the Dallas area, make sure you go, 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 because MLW is really a nice treat. And definitely, tickets are like $15. You're not paying 800 for nothing. It is $15 again. MLW brings Fightland to Dallas, Texas, September 13th.
Yep, and you're going to get 4 hours of action.
Yeah, you are. And it's going to be worth it for your ticket. So do not wait.
No bad
I would,
seats.
yeah, definitely no bad seats. Probably no bad seats for where they're at in Dallas, Texas, which I don't remember exactly where, but you will enjoy it. Um, right after us telling you guys to go to Fightland, we have the no. Is this the second match for the Opera Cup? I think it is. I didn't put it in my notes. That had Bobby Fish versus Kojima. Yeah, it is. Um, I love Bobby. I love Kojima. This was slow. This was wrestling to a certain degree. Um, yeah, Bobby Fish had like the upper hand for a bit until we get machine chops from Kojima. We get an elbow from Kojima, the cozy cutter that looked pretty nice, um, an exploder, some more strikes, and then the brain buster, and then the lariat gives Kojima the win over Bobby Fish, and Kojima advances in the Opera Cup.
Yeah, this match was too long. It was too slow. Kojima should have won. Man, do Bobby Fish and C.W. Anderson seem lost without the rogue Horseman being around. Brock sort of seems to have found a role. He wasn't on this particular show, but he certainly has a role going forward with the company. And uh,
Hmm.
and BRG is doing other stuff. Apparently, he was on TNA, and he's going to be doing NWA, and so
Hmm.
he's fine. But whatever, he's gone. Listen, the people threw bread in. And Kojima said, "Don't try this at home," which I guess meant don't let people throw bread at you from all directions, rather than fight Bobby Fish. I don't know, but I don't know. Bobby Fish, the Bobby Fish I'm seeing now is not the Bobby Fish even from a few years ago. I mean, he's not. Forget about Undisputed Era. He's not even like undisputed. He's not even whatever they were trying to build in AEW for 5 minutes, where he was involved before he sort of was one of the casualties of the Punk thing. I guess he was on Team Punk. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know where he fit in or didn't fit in. That's all I can figure out. Um, but he just looks old and small and not inspired, and that's how I felt watching this match. But I'm glad Kojima won. He looks big, looks good. He had a nice brain buster, and his clothesline looked about as good as I've seen it. So yay.
That's what I feel about Bobby Fish too. Is that like I don't like all of my interactions with him have been very very nice. Like I love hanging around him. I love listening to like whenever he's talking with somebody else and just giving some knowledge or whatever and stuff like that. And I always check on him if I like, if he needs something, and he's not gonna leave the merch table. So if I'm available, I'll go get, if he wants water or something. But he sticks to a pretty tough diet of like what he does. But I do feel like it could just be him in his own mind, and whatnot. But it does feel like it's uninspired. But he truly loves what he does. So that's like the one thing.
It's just weird coming out of NXT and into AEW. You'd think that wherever he landed, he could make himself like one of the top people just based on where he's been before, and he just feels like a low carder.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm okay with that for him. In fact, I don't have anything against Bobby Fish. I don't know Bobby Fish.
Hmm.
In fact, of that crowd, he's like he's like one of the ones who didn't block me. So you know, so I'm inclined to like him. I just don't need to see him wrestle. I mean, maybe he should like I would like maybe he should call up Sean and say, "Hey, can I be a coach agent at NXT or do some tryouts there or work with you guys on Evolve?" I mean, I think
You
that would
should.
be. I think he'd be magnificent at this. You know, I don't see him doing a lot of indie bookings. I don't see his name on. I mean, granted, there's 900 indies, but you see who's on the cards of the big shows and the ones that have on IT,
Hmm.
IWTV, or that's on Beyond or Defy or House of Glory or ROW or whatever, AAW, and I'm not seeing them there. Even incidentally on other people's posts, I'm not seeing anyone mention I faced Bobby Fish today, a legend, or
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
So
Um, I,
you know,
I, I do know that back in Florida, his hometown, that he does train students at a wrestling school. That's as far as I know.
good.
He's buddies with DDP. DDP helped him out, and whatnot. But yeah. Um, okay. One of my community members mentioned something about over here, but cool. Um,
Oh, shout out to Duke. I like Duke
yeah.
also.
Um,
Duke's in this little world for someone I've never met, Duke's a friend.
um, so after the Opera Cup match, we also had the women wrestling. We had Shotzi versus Ava Everett. And finally, we get a different kind of pace of a match, where this one was very fast paced with Shotzi, coming out first, against Ava, and did a very nice deep arm drag. This, like, watching this match, I was thinking about it when I helped you out with going over Evolve, and I was like, every single every single woman's match had a different feel to it and whatnot, and luckily this had a different feel from like the rest of the card of MLW, because it's not the simple of like a little bit heavy collar and double tie up. The women went out there to do a fast crash course of like wrestling and stuff like that. We got a huge crossbody from Shotzi. Ava was taking advantage most of the time because of that cast, which Matt Cardona ran Shotzi over with her damn little mini tank. So brave girl coming in there with the cast and get taken advantage of. Um, but yeah, I commentary mentioned that there's a 20 count in MLW, and I totally forgot that there was a 20 count because I'm like, yo, nobody uses a 20 count.
Yeah.
Nobody uses that. We got some
Didn't
strikes.
AEW have a 20 count at some point, and they said no, only in lucha matches it's a 20 count, and it's a 10 count, something weird like that.
Damn, I don't even remember that. But the only
It was
reason
back
why
in the
they
old
have,
days.
yeah, really the old days, man. But the only reason why they have a 20 count is to copy New Japan. New Japan has a 20 count for the outside. So like, it
Of
it
course.
is what it is. What it is.
Yeah.
We have a nice running bulldog that cannonball, but Ava kicks out like all of that. It's like she's not gonna go down until we get the crossface with the cast, and Ava over here is tapping for her life, and Shotzi becomes the winner.
I love this match. This was so much fun. Ava Everett, who I don't think I had ever heard of before MLW. Apparently, she's been in MLW before.
Hmm.
She's a New Jersey-based wrestler. She's dating or married to LSG, who was in Ring of Honor for a while. Um,
Oh.
I don't know. She basically playing a Chelsea Green type of character, but
Hmm.
if Chelsea's like the Rodeo Drive, she's like the Newark Mall version of it. But still, I mean, she was great. She interacted with the crowd. Shotzi was Shotzi. I saw Shotzi also at MCW, the same place I saw Bishop Dyer, Baron Corbin again a month ago, a month after this, um, and. Uh, uh, and or if we saw each other, and she's super nice. She loves what
Hmm.
she's doing. She's so nice to everybody. She makes time for everybody, and like so somebody gifted me. I'm assuming it was from MCW, but somebody gifted me a meet and greet thing, a $60 thing for Shotzi to get a photo, autograph, and a pic, and all that stuff. I did not pay.
Oh.
Um, guy in a black shirt, worked for MCW, but nobody from management or wherever came up to me or anything like that. So I got there. And so there's, I'm with my wife, and my wife, she's Latina.
Hmm.
So of course, Shotzi's got 6 pictures, and like all of them are sexy, but she's got one where she's in Beetlejuice, and which is not particularly, sexed up for wrestling.
Hmm.
Of course, that's the one I picked because, I don't want to end up dead. Um, Meanwhile, she says, the other pictures are much sexier. I mean, my wife says that. I'm like, oh, I know, but I like Beetlejuice. So anyway, Shotzi goes, oh, you picked the Beetlejuice one, and I'm like, and then she goes, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Well, I'm gonna have to sign it 3 times because Shotzi's gonna do what Shotzi's gonna do, and she signed Shotzi, Shotzi. Well, it's behind me. She signed Shotzi, 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 and
Oh.
it's just the little things where someone's being a person, and you see
Hmm.
it at a place where I'm probably towards the end of a line of. I mean, she had at least 100 people that came up.
Yeah.
I showed up sort of late. I didn't even because I got this award or whatever, this prize in such an untraditional way. I kept asking the guards along the way, which is all two, and they're like 19-year-old kids, like, is this right? Did I pay for this, or do I have to pay for that? They're like, no, this is your ticket. This is it. So, I'm like towards the end of 100 people, so she's probably exhausted, and there's still
Hmm.
people after me, and she's still beaming with energy and just kindness and excitement. And this is a woman who lost her dream job, and I just
Hmm.
anyway, she's working with the broken arm. Apparently, that's legit. Um, Austin Aries again, pretty funny. Talking about Bob Orton wore the
Yeah.
cast for
Yeah.
4 years, and so. But I really this was a WWE NXT style match, except for the cast because they would never let someone wrestle with that. So absent that, but this was great. This was a lot of fun. This was really sports entertaining.
It really was. Even after the show in MLW, her line was so long because she came down to do just a little bit of like meet and greet and like sell
Mhm.
merchandise and stuff. And you can definitely like see the excitement, the smiles, the energy that she has. Like it's like being around a sweetheart.
Yeah, she every dollar she gets, she deserves. She's terrific. I don't care that 15 years ago she sold dirty underwear or whatever. I mean, whatever. Somebody's got to eat.
Oh,
Someone's going to. She didn't come up with that idea. Somebody. I saw it on Orange is the New Black as well. Whatever she sold, it was weird. Whatever. I don't care. She's a sweetheart and she's a professional and she puts on a good show and she cares about the fans. And if she's faking it, she fakes it really well and she faked it over three separate nights that I saw her.
with that being said, we have come to the main event of MLW's Blood and Thunder, and this is the second time that Mystico and Quan have main evented MLW. A main event spot is still a main event spot. My boy Quan over here, definitely, taking it straight to Mystico, being fast and vicious with that drop kick, some fast strikes, and of course Quan trying to take the mask off of Mystico because he's been on a conquest to take the mask off of luchadors and defame them. And, it has been working so far. He has definitely been a threat. Mystico comes back with a handspring and a back elbow to Quan. There's some kicks across body, even a power slam to Quan. Mystico missed some stuff. We get like a German suplex on Mystico and the Shining Wizard, but Mystico is definitely not going to stay down. We do have our first double down of the whole entire card. If you guys don't know, a double down is usually one of my pet peeves, but I will allow it here because it made sense in terms of, fighting kayfabe psychology. And then we do picture in picture because Dijak and Mads Kruger is fighting. It's like, guys, stop fighting. Um, After that, towards the end, we get the big, huge Spanish fly from Mystico to Quan, and that allows Mystico to pick up the 1, 2, 3 and advance in the Opera Cup. However, Quan does take the middleweight championship title, puts everybody on notice, including Mystico, to be like, this championship is going to be mine. Even though Quan lost, it does hurt him, but he walks away the winner by taking away the belt.
Yeah, he's got the belt. Um, we were also told that Volador is going to be coming to CMLL, which is good. I think we saw him a little bit on AEW. He was one of the four guys who was featured for 2 or 3 months there against basically always losing to the. I don't know if it was the Blackpool Combat Club at the time or the Death Riders. It doesn't matter. Same clowns, same gimmick,
Hmm.
and I think even losing to them in Mexico because CMLL is has a partnership with MLW, but has a cuck relationship with AEW, which is usually what AEW does. In any event, that editorial aside, this wasn't my match of the night. This match was great. These two worked great together. Yeah,
Hmm.
unfortunately, our friend, mostly your friend, but our friend Quan did not get the win, but he did miss the ref afterwards and was able to abscond with the title. Possession is 9/10 of the law. I really hope that he wins it legit or anyway in a legal sense. It doesn't need to be legit. I don't care how he retains it, and wins it and actually has a proper title run, rather than this. And I enjoy his Lucha Hunter thing. I guess he's El Grande
Hmm.
Coreano. Um, uh, so that's there's a lot of that going around, stealing lucha masks and loading them up with steel plates and whatever, and maybe he can team up with Dominic and the many grande Americanos that are out there, like the Super Machines back in the '80s. Yeah, but yeah, good on Quan getting the main event as you said, and this really was a really good match. These guys really worked very well together. None of the Contra people interfered, for better
Hmm.
or for worse. Mads was obviously involved in his dancing with Dijak all night. I don't know where Baba Thunder was, probably eating all the bread because he's a big guy and needs a lot of calories. So I'm not sure who else is in Contra or who was on duty. The Sentai Death Squad also probably eating the free bread and drinking the Don Gato that Selena left behind. Because I mean, free booze and and bread. That's that's like medieval paradise. So
Pretty much, that really is.
yeah.
Um, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our review for MLW Blood and Thunder. The next time we will be together talking about MLW will be Fightland, which is in Dallas, Texas, September 13th. So make sure to get your tickets because you don't want to miss that show. That show will probably have Dijak versus Matt Riddle because I think they put it out on socials like today or yesterday that they were like, guys, we're going to have the match here in Dallas, Texas. So do not miss out on that. So, Dos Evo, please put yourself over.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you to you. I want to put you over because you've been very helpful to me. You helped me with the Evolve review show 2 or 3 times when both White Chocolate and Don Reynolds weren't able to do it, and you stepped in the first time when Don Reynolds was able to, but it was his first time as well, and he didn't quite feel comfortable doing it. So you've helped us over at the Wrestling Soup and Friendos feed, which is sort of the ugly stepchild of Wrestling Soup, but still, it was fun, and that's where I belong with the ugly stepchildren. Okay, so on Twitter at dose_evil for wrestling nonsense. Um, on Wrestling Soup, I also do the LFG review show in addition to a dose of chocolate, and the LFG review show is actually on the Wrestling Soup regular feed, and my co-host is the legendary Lufisto, so that's pretty cool. I do something called Body Slam Briefs, which is sort of the intersection of law and wrestling, and that's only done on a, in my judgment, as needed basis on Wrestling Soup. There's probably all of 10 of them. I did one about 2.5 weeks ago, and it's probably still relevant today. Um, Under a half hour. And I prefer to listen to myself at 2 times speed. Maybe you do it on 1.5. So, then it's 20 minutes. I have a show called Garden of Thought. And in that Garden of Thought, there's basically like the three faces of Foley. So the one that tends to be on the weekend is sort of if you turn on the Discovery Channel or the History Channel at 7 p.m. and leave it on until 3 a.m. So you may get a show on the origin of man or, the archaeology of the Aztecs, or you may get a show on Egyptian mythology, or UFOs, Bigfoot, or me reviewing a show like Lost or Battlestar Galactica or something like that. And I have some pretty terrific guests. The one during the midweek tends to be more legal matters, business, realpolitik, and some pop culture as well. Well, general interest, not pop culture. I'm not really a pop culture kind of guy. Um, but so this week I'm going to drop a show dealing with the same immigration attorney I had about 7 months ago, with what's going on in the immigration law landscape now 6 months into the Trump administration. So what's like being in the ground on that one, and then of course my favorite, which Book of Black was with PJ Black, now the Gospel of Thomas with Mr. Thomas, where we talk to people in wrestling, but generally about non-wrestling things as much as wrestling. And Marie Shadows has been on that show with Akira Kwan. And I don't know, I think all the conversations on that are good. All of them are unique. And I definitely focus on more non-wrestling things, and Thomas definitely focuses on nonsense, food. But when we talk about wrestling, we generally get some pretty good inside information. We had the first interview with Alex Kane after he was a free agent. Anyway, Garden of Thought, you can
Mm-hmm.
find out on any podcast platform, and you can find pretty much all my stuff on the Wrestling Soup Network. Other than that, Marie has me on about once a month for our MLW reviews, and since I'm talking forever and forever, this may well be the last time she'll have me on.
No, 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 no. I enjoy hearing all the stuff that you do and like what's new and what's going to be happening and coming down the pipeline. So I just let you talk.
Making an app. I'm developing an app, and I will when this app is ready and it does what I think it's going to do and what it's designed to do. I will actually be doing a promotional tour on wrestling podcasts because this is to help the industry. Everybody in the industry that's not already working for WWE or AEW and not taking indie bookings. Uh,
Mm,
but but everyone who may at some point no longer be working for those companies and still want to be in wrestling. So that's a little bit of a tease for it. If you listen to the Alex Kane interview, that's a little bit of a plug, and there's a tease because I actually stumbled upon this idea while talking to Alex Kane, so you can
hmm.
probably riddle it out that way. Um, so yeah, so more babbling from me.
So yeah, when you get close to done or anything like that, you always got a spot here. Like
Well, appreciate it.
you always got a
The
spot here.
AW mole, actually, we DM sometimes, and whoever
Oh.
the AW mole is said, Dose, comma, because doesn't know my real name, and I don't know his or her real name. So he goes,
Hmm.
Dose, I think you're going to change the industry. And that's the happiest words I've ever heard, because, like, what else does a mark want to do other than change the industry?
Right. That's exactly like, oh my god, yeah, totally agree with that. I try my very best to do that whenever I break down people's matches and just be like, guys, we got to like start helping out the industry rather than trying to be like, my favorite needs to win and grab pitchforks. Like that's
Yeah,
not helping.
well, you can do both, and I'm trying to do both. I'm not that much into my. I'm too old for my favorite needs to win kind of thing, but I want my favorites to have a prominent role on TV.
Yeah,
All the time. That said, Thomas needs to win. I mean, you're not making Matthew Justice your top face. You're obviously not making Hammerstone the top face. Who better than your 6'7", 275 pound monster? I'm giving him more of the Hogan growth hormones. Uh, you know, good looking guy, can fly around, built, does whatever you ask. Yeah, we want Cross, we want Scarlett, and we want Mr. Thomas.
pretty much. It'd be cool if I don't know if Cross would ever go to like MLW, but he loves what he does.
He has
And
before.
so does Charlotte.
He
Yeah.
has before. Yeah, he's definitely not above it. And they were non-renewed. They're free agents this second.
Hmm. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in over here on Rumble and also even on YouTube. Thank you to all of my community that has joined in on the chat. I love you guys so, so much. Denisha, like, I love you, girl. Thank you for giving me my first ever super chat and then also the 6.99 membership over on the YouTube side of things. If you're looking on like the Rumble side of things, you guys could send in a rant, which is sort of like a super chat, and you could also gift subscriptions. There is no like membership to join over here on Rumble. But also shout out to Rumble for creating a room very similar to Restream. Now I don't have to use Restream anymore, and I can use Rumble, which is a win-win for me. By the way, I'm Marie Shadows. Find me on Twitter whenever I get back on at Marie_Shadows. If not, find me over at Instagram at your fave FAV Marie Shadows for different types of content, different types of things that I talk about, different types of videos. I did make a video about us going live today about MLW, so like people were checking that out. And I have more live streams coming up this week. I will be breaking down Tanahashi versus Evil. This will be Tanahashi's 100th opponent in his goodbye farewell tour. Because he's after he's done being a wrestler, he will obviously finally probably be full time New Japan president because it just seems like you can't do both. And once he stops being a wrestler and takes like really huge responsibility of being president, please call up Triple H, call up WWE. I'm still gonna say it till he finally does it. Get in contact with WWE. Get in contact with Pro Wrestling Noah. By the way, shout out to Pro Wrestling Noah for making Kenta the champion. After I was like, "Yo, Kenta, you need to be champion." But shout out to Pro Wrestling Noah for doing that. Other than that, stay tuned to the channels of Rumble, YouTube, my wrestling newsletter, marieshadows.substack.com. Everywhere there will be brand new, like all my links down in the description. You guys know where to find me. I'm not that hard to find on the internet. Um, any closing words before I'm like, we're out?
Support this fine woman and stay evil, my friends.
I will take that. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, Dose Evil and myself, Marie Shadows, are signing out.